But anyway, I'm sitting around and all of a sudden I see a tweet about Matt Maiocco's appearance on KNBR. And I'm like, what? And I see what he said. And I'm like, this can't be real. It's got to be taken out of context. Something is not right here. Well, I have the audio for you, Michelle. I'm going to play the audio and I want your first blush response. And I promise, I have not edited this audio. This is what was said. Here's Matt Maiocco on KNBR.
Sam Darnold might be the most, can I say this? The most talented thrower of the football that the 49ers have ever had.
All I can do is laugh. I don't get the Sam Darnold love. No, like the people who believed in him coming out of school, they're never going to give it up. They will never give it up. But they gave up on Trey Lance in 0.5 seconds. Don't worry. But Sam Darnold's now going into his sixth season in the NFL?
I know you're not a 49er fan, but off the top of your head, can you just name a great quarterback in the history of the 49ers? Just off the top of your head.
I mean, there's been a few. Steve Young, Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Even I would say Colin Kaepernick was better than Sam Darnold.
By a lot. By a lot. What are we doing?
I don't think he meant of all time. I think he meant of that they've had on their roster recently, but still, that's a joke.
No, he said that the 49ers have ever had. Matt Maiocco has been covering this team since 1991, okay? He saw Steve Young. He was there for Steve Young. This is what is happening, and I'm trying to tell people, and nobody wants to listen to me. Matt Maiocco is the mouthpiece for the team. He's greasing the skids to prepare the fan base for Sam Darnold to be the starter, whether they trade Trey or whether they just say that Darnold won the quarterback competition. That's what this is. Matt Maiocco's not stupid. He doesn't really think Sam Darnold can throw the ball better than Joe Montana or Steve Young, but this is the narrative that the 49ers want out there, and that's why this is happening.
And if he truly believes this, or I know you said he doesn't actually believe it, but for him saying all time, I thought he just meant he's a better thrower than Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, which I also think that is false. So if I even think that is false, then we're really far apart here. And yeah, maybe it is just the 49ers trying to get the fans on board if they have to start Darnold. The only way Darnold starts, I think, is if Trey Lance is traded. If both have an opportunity to fight it out in training camp, I can't see Lance losing.
I think that's what they're telling you. I don't think it's going to be a fair fight, Michelle. I think every incompletion by Lance is going to be, oh my God, he should have hit that throw. How could he do that? And Darnold will throw an incompletion and it'll be like, oh, well, he's new. He's still learning the system, all that stuff. And if you needed more proof, I will continue with Matt Maiocco's appearance on KNBR because he followed up that asinine comment with this one.
I think that he hasn't had really any chance to succeed since his college days are over. I think he's had like 4 head coaches in 5 years, 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years. He's a talented guy. And, I was just talking to Frank Gore. Frank Gore popped his head in at the 49ers local pro day, and he was like, you will be shocked at what you see from Sam Darnold. Right. Frank Gore is a Sam Darnold guy. And so, because they spent 1 year together with the Jets, and he just felt like he just didn't have any chance to succeed.
Using Frank Gore to try and puff up this opinion as valid is just such a weak move by Matt Maiocco, using one of the most beloved figures in franchise history. Like, oh, you can't disagree. You disagree with Frank Gore. You don't love Frank Gore. It's so weak, Michelle.
Yeah, and what is a player going to say? They never say bad things about teammates. Like, it's very rare. But also, it's one thing if Sam Darnold can throw a good ball in shorts. Like, oh yeah, he's super talented. Yeah, he's in the NFL. He was a top 3 draft pick. He's now made it in the NFL for 6 seasons. Yes, he can throw a good ball. He could throw a ball. He could throw a ball better than 99% of human beings on this planet. 99.9. of human beings on this planet. No one's saying he's not a talented player, but when you compare him against other quarterbacks, when you put him in the game and his mind with the game, it doesn't work. He is not a good quarterback. Just because he can make some nice throws sometimes does not mean he's a good overall quarterback. You have to also have the ability not to turn the ball over 500 times. Also have the ability to read the field and hit a guy open before he's already covered. And also I'm sick of this, he's had so many coaches and so many offensive coordinators. You know why? Because he gets a lot of guys fired because he's bad. He got him fired. I think it is what it is. It's not just poor him. It's no, he performed poorly for a long time for many different guys. So then they lost their jobs. That's what happens.
I think you're 1,000% right. And by the way, who has Justin Herbert had in terms of coaches and offensive coordinators? Has he had the best coaches and the best offensive coordinators? No. Does anyone think he sucks? No. I hate this narrative. And people say, well, he didn't have any weapons. Do Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore not count as weapons? Were they not on the Panthers? What are we doing here? What are we doing with this guy? I do not understand it. If I told you the 49ers were going to play against Sam Darnold, you'd be licking your chops. Now, all of a sudden, he's on the team, and people are trying to sell me that he's good, that he's the best thrower of the football, that my 49ers, one of the most quarterback-rich organizations in the history of football, have ever had? No. Stop this bullshit. I hate it. I can't believe this is where we are. And I thought I was going to be calm and not swear, and yet here we are. Because, this is insane. This is ignore everything you have seen and just believe this crap that we're telling you. And the 49ers themselves are the ones telling us this. That's the crazy part. Kyle Shanahan said Sam Darnold has as good a skill set as anyone in the league. What are we doing?
And I mean, there's a reason why in most metrics, he's the worst quarterback, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL since 2018, since he entered the league. It's not just because poor me, I'm in the worst situation. A lot of quarterbacks are in really bad situations. A lot of quarterbacks have bad metrics. Guess what? Sam Darnold's the worst of the worst of the worst. It doesn't mean that when you put him into Kyle Shanahan's offense, he can't be slightly below average and get it done and win some games because the team is loaded. But that just means that you're dealing with a guy that is worse than someone else you could put in there. So imagine if Sam Darnold can be okay with Kyle Shanahan, what can another quarterback be like? So you're not maximizing the opportunity here with the offense with Sam Darnold, no matter what. Even if he ends up being I don't think he has a ceiling of being great. So even if he ends up being average because you put him in Kyle Shanahan's system with good playmakers around him, what do you have? It's still just an average quarterback that's not going to win you anything when you get into the tough games in the playoffs.
And spare me the whole, well, Alex Smith got better under Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, he was better than he was, but he still wasn't that good. And that same Jim Harbaugh benched Alex Smith for Colin Kaepernick the second he got the chance to do it. And even when Alex Smith played the best football of his life in Kansas City, they immediately benched him for completely unproven Patrick Mahomes. So
but also guess what? Alex Smith and the Chiefs never won anything. Yeah.
Right.
Alex Smith was a decent quarterback, but also no one was saying he's one of the best in the league. He got much better than where he was because he went into a good situation, but it was Alex Smith. They could never make it far because you have Alex Smith at quarterback. You're going to make the playoffs. You're going to have a good record, and then you're going to lose the playoffs because you don't have that quarterback that's over the top. As soon as they bring in Patrick Mahomes, they just keep going to the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl, and they gone to the AFC Championship now, 5 years?
Every year.
In a row?
Every year with Mahomes.
So every year, that's the difference between, maybe he's the next Alex Smith. You don't want the next Alex Smith.
Right.
That's not what you want here. You already had Jimmy G. If you wanted Alex Smith, then just keep Jimmy Garoppolo because that dude was a winner. So at least keep him. And I don't know, if that's what you wanted, then there was never a reason to trade up for a guy like Trey Lance. If that's what you wanted, then I just don't get, then they really messed up during that draft because if that was your goal, just someone average, you could have found that way easier than giving up 3 first-round picks.
Right. And I just don't know why all of a sudden we have to buy this narrative. Like, for perfect example, the 49ers just signed Brandon Allen, or they agreed to a contract with Brandon Allen. I don't know if he's officially signed it. Brandon Allen is 52nd in passer rating since 2019. One spot ahead of him is Sam Darnold in passer rating at 78.3. So no one thinks Brandon Allen is good, yet you're selling me that Sam Darnold is good.
Yeah, I mean, if you just put Brandon Allen in a good offense with a good coach and good playmakers, he will really step up.
Who is this quarterback, by the way, that Kyle Shanahan has done this with, right? Like, people are like, oh, are you telling me it's Brock Purdy? Because then you're saying Brock Purdy's not that good, which you can't say that to 49er fans. Holy hell. If you say that, you're a hater and you're the worst. So which is it? Is Brock Purdy really, really good, or is he just an average player that Kyle Shanahan is boosting? Because if you don't pick Brock for that title, who is it? Nick Mullins? Nick Mullins threw for 230 yards a game and had 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in 10 games. Like, so who is this quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has boosted up? That's what I want to know. Are you going to say Matt Schaub? Okay, but that was like a long time ago. RG3 did it for one season. So I just don't think any of the narratives are correct here.
But also the difference between Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold is, yeah, Sam Darnold might be more naturally gifted with throwing the ball, but Brock Purdy is a football player. He has the football mind. He has the brain. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. He is a competitor to the top degree. Like Sam Darnold, when you look at him, he gives you nothing. There is nothing here. There's nothing here. He doesn't... I feel like he doesn't have any emotions on the field. He doesn't show you any personality. I don't know how guys get behind him and are like, I'm rooting for, like, I'll do anything for Sam Darnold, because he gives you nothing. And then also he makes those really, really stupid mistakes on the field. So that's going to, when you have such a good defense and you have such good playmakers, you can't be making those mistakes. So they're going to have to be very careful with him to make sure that he's, hitting the right guys and you're getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And it's just going to really limit the offense. And I really, really hope we don't have to watch him.
They're prepared. I'm telling you, the 49ers are preparing you for it. That's the whole reason for Maiocco to go on KNBR and say that. There's no way he believes that. There is no way that Matt Maiocco believes that Sam Darnold is the most talented thrower of the football in 49ers history. It's just not possible, because I don't think Matt Maiocco is a stupid man by any stretch of the imagination. So to me, it's the Niners greasing the skids. And I just don't know why people are saying, well, let's see what Sam Darnold is with the best roster in football and the best play caller in football, when we don't want to see that with Trey Lance. What? I don't get this at all. It makes no sense. And the fact that people keep saying it over and over again is why I'm so upset about this. This should be like an easy, they signed Sam Darnold. That's a dumb move. And that should be the end of it. But that's not where we are.
And I feel like if Sam Darnold had the type of game that Lance had against Houston in 2021, people would be like, oh my God, like he is so good. And like, that's one of Trey Lance's 4 games he's gotten a chance in, and whatever. I don't get it. And if the 49ers have Trey Lance on their roster to start the season, and they really say Sam Darnold won the starting job, then that is just outright admitting that you suck at the draft, that you just you suck at evaluating players, because you missed that hard on a guy that you traded up everything for, and you're not even going to allow have a chance. And he somehow got beaten out by the worst quarterback in the NFL. Again, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL since 2018 by many, many metrics. It's not just one, it's many metrics of starting quarterbacks. He's the worst since 2018. And you're saying this guy is better than the guy we traded up all this way for. We said, this is it. He's him. He's going to change the quarterback situation for us. And Kyle Shanahan was beyond excited. Then just admit that you did a terrible job at, evaluating him. And that's a concern right there.
That's the other part of this too. Like, if they just said, look, we think we made a mistake, and Brock is here and great, and we don't think Trey is it. But they keep saying that Trey is so good, and maybe they're just trying to pump up his trade value, but they need to be called out on that. They need to be called out on why everything that they have done completely contradicts all the nice things that they have said about Trey Lance. And by the way, you mentioned that Houston game. that if Darnold had done what Lance did against Houston, everybody would be pumping him up. Well, if Lance did what Darnold did against the Saints last year, 5 of 15 for 43 yards with 2 picks and 2 fumbles, people act like that's Trey Lance's start every start. They act like that's how Trey Lance has played. He's never been like that. That's hideously bad.
And you're going to get that game from Darnold 1 every 4 games. Like, he might be, this is his issue, is he can have some nice throws in some games. He can put together a nice quarter. Like, damn, look at this guy. Like, where'd that come from? And then the very next game, he's going to be disastrous. He is the type of quarterback that will lose you games. I understand the team wanting to go with Brock Purdy because he's not the guy that's going to lose you games. And he looked really like, I don't even know the right word to use for him because I don't want to say like amazing, but he looked like a quarterback. Like, he looked like he could be a guy that could be a franchise quarterback. The team, the roster is going to be super pumped to play for. So I get it. And he's also young, and you can build around that. So if you say Brock Purdy showed last year, he is a winner, he's a competitor, he did everything we asked for, he's going to be our starter. That is completely fine for me. The issue is if it goes to Sam Darnold, because he has had 5 years now in the league where he has been terrible. He does not possess the leadership skills of a Brock Purdy where you're competing in that way. And I don't know the upside there with Sam Darnold. You're just saying, well, we're not going for a Super Bowl this year. If your plan is to start Sam Darnold all year. Now, if their plan is to start Sam Darnold, hope to just like squeak it out 4 games, and then Brock Purdy will be back, whatever. But it's still, then if the whole goal is you need to start 4 games, let Trey Lance try it out and see if he can develop. I don't know. They're just screwing this poor young man over.
I don't think this is going to be a fair fight, Michelle. I really don't. The 49ers are already telling you they want Darnold to be the guy. You look at Darnold's contract and the fact that he has all those incentives and escalators in the contract. And how about the fact that every time you see 49ers players out and about, like at the Warriors-Lakers game, they're all hanging out with Sam Darnold. It's Sam Darnold and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle.
What did they talk about? What are you even talking about with Sam Darnold? Like, oh.
Did you see Klay Thompson came over and he was like, oh, it's George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. Cool. Who the hell is this guy over here with this red beard? Like, what are you doing here? How did you steal the ticket? Like, one of these things is not like the others.
No. I feel like Sam Darnold would like start talking about the trees outside or something, the different kind of trees he sees. Like, what are you guys talking about? What are you hanging out about? Maybe I'm just really mean to Sam Darnold. Maybe he's a cool guy. I don't know.
I don't care if he's a cool guy. He's a shit quarterback. Like, the worst quarterback. I cannot believe that people are trying to hype him up. I saw a good poll from, was it Ryan Hensley? I think.
When I try to start hyping up Baker Mayfield, and you guys all roll your eyes at me, as you should, because I'm delusional and I never want to get off the Baker Mayfield train. Just know this is the same way you should be feeling about Sam Darnold. Like, if you're Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are similar, except for the fact that Baker Mayfield has actually had a good season in the NFL, a couple good seasons, and he's shown a lot more flashes than Sam Darnold ever has. Like, that's the difference. But also, Baker Mayfield's never going to be a good quarterback in this league, right? That's not going to happen. I'm going to hold out hope. Don't get me wrong. But like, when you roll your eyes when I talk about Baker Mayfield, you have to do the same thing about Sam Darnold. Just because he's on your team doesn't mean he's going to be good.
And oh, by the way, who ate Sam Darnold's lunch when they were in the same place in Carolina? Baker Mayfield showed up in July and took the job right away from Sam Darnold immediately, because Baker Mayfield is a leader who at least has some talent, and Sam Darnold is a giant stiff. Ryan Hensley had a poll out, and the poll was, which, if any quarterback, would scare you the most if they were on the Cardinals? And the options are Purdy, Lance, and Darnold. Lance has 63% of the vote. Sam Darnold has 0.8% of the vote. And that's the point. If he was on any other team, you wouldn't be sitting there telling me how good Sam Darnold is. But because he's on the 49ers and people want to hype it up and think that the 49ers didn't just make a stupid move, they're trying to convince themselves that Sam's going to be good. He ain't.
He's not. But now what sucks is that it's going to be like, when he does start, it's going to be so hard to watch him. And then if he's good, he's good, I guess. We'll get a lot of hate for that. But also, if he's good, I just feel like it's going to be because of his surroundings, and he's going to actually not be very good. But it's like, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. if he has to play, hopefully the team can carry him because he's not going to carry nobody.
It's so bad. And Jack Hammer, by the way, who's calling me out on Twitter multiple times, you can go pound sand, Jack. I've never said that Sam Darnold had 90 turnovers in 56 games. I have never once said that. And it's not misleading to call it what it is. 90 combined fumbles in 56 games. That is the truth. It is a fact. And just because the other team didn't recover all 90 of those fumbles doesn't mean they didn't derail drives. Most of the time when you fumble the ball, you still lose yardage. It still screws up a play. So it doesn't necessarily matter that not all 90 were recovered by the other team. So I don't know why you think you're calling me out there, but that's just dumb. I've never misled people in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And the fact that you're saying that I have is ridiculous.
Sam Darnold doesn't get to decide when it's a lost fumble or his team recovers. It's all about the bounce of the ball. Does the ball bounce where your player is or where the other player is? Does your teammates see the ball right away or does the defender see it first? Like when Sam Darnold's fumbling, he's not like, oh, it doesn't matter because we're going to get this one back. Like, no, he still fumbled and he could have still easily lost the ball. And he needs to not do that so much.
The one improvement, or I should say the biggest area of improvement for all 49ers quarterbacks last year was that they didn't turn the ball over. They were really, really good at it. The Niners led the league in turnover differential. You lose that if you put Sam Darnold in. That's the thing that can derail this team, even with a really good defense. That's the thing that can kill you. And it's weird to me that Kyle Shanahan and the Niners are just willing to wave all that away by saying, well, Sam had to throw the ball to keep the team in game. Like, no. You think all of his turnovers came in like the fourth quarter when they were trailing by 30? They didn't.
No, they were trailing by so much because he turned the ball over.
Right. It's wild, man.
People just really, really have the back here of Sam Darnold. I don't know. I thought people got over it last year I thought actually people got over it in 2021 when he couldn't handle it with a new team and got benched and Cam Newton came in and was terrible too, but somehow better than Sam Darnold. And then the next year he gets beaten out by Baker Mayfield easily. Like there wasn't even really a true competition because all the media was like, yeah, Baker Mayfield's by far the better quarterback. And then now I guess he's just going to be the next Geno Smith. Who knows?
The next Geno Smith, who was good for half a season. Again, like what are we?
Again, and he was no one, when they got into the playoffs, thought they had a real chance at winning the Super Bowl because
I agree.
Geno Smith was the quarterback. And no matter how good that Seahawks roster gets, and they keep building it up, as long as they have Geno Smith, no one's going to predict them to win the Super Bowl. And that's the end goal here. Do you have a quarterback good enough to win a Super Bowl?
Right. Is Geno Smith beating Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or Russell Wilson, maybe if he ends up being better this year, or Tua Tagovailoa or Aaron Rodgers? No. Fucking no. Like, oh, God.